What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Getting Buzzed. That's right. I'm Howard Bender. With me, of course, my lovable compadre, Ryan Hallam. Ryan, give yourself a big hug there, right? Ooh.
I feel the love. I'm very lovable. There's a lot of me to love. So yeah, I think that was nice. I appreciate that, Howard. That was a nice way to start the show.
Well, every once in a while, I figure, I'll kind of give you a warm welcome. If there comes a time where I can't give you the warm welcome, well, then you've got a problem. You won't be on the show, right?
I was gonna say, as long as I keep getting the invite back week to week, you can pretty much say whatever.
Well, we'll see what happens next week. All right, how about that? So don't count your chickens yet, there, big guy.
Next week I actually won't be here, so that's actually.
Way to ruin the joke. Thanks a lot. I could have let off the whole show last week with how you were suspended for not being lovable, right? For Frenchie being voted off a Big Brother, and that cost me my first round pick. But no, you had to blow it. You are king of the spoilers, Ryan.
No one's gonna remember this.
You're a wet blanket.
Okay, that's true.
You're a wet blanket. That's it. I need a new co-host. Get me Matt Sells. Get me John and Pemba. Get me anybody right now other than Ryan. Folks, great show for you today. Love our guest later on in tonight's episode. You know her on Twitter as @FF_Leap of Faith. That's right. From IDP guys, Faith Enes going to join us here. She's also, she started the Women of Fantasy Football movement. And so she's going to be joining us here. We're going to have a lot to talk about with Faith. Great game plan ahead for her. So always a good time. As always, though, with the show, we like to start it off with a big shout out to our fantasy football draft guide over at Fantasy Alarm. If you don't have that NFL draft guide from Fantasy Alarm, well, yeah, shame on you. But, you just might not like winning. Is that where we're at? It could be.
Clearly. Not only is it, new articles out basically every day. But as always, it's the living guide, changing as we go. It's not a magazine where you get and one injury in, you can throw it in the garbage or it's irrelevant. Ours is always changing, always up to date, and always there to help you dominate your drafts.
That's the beautiful thing right now. Every magazine that you've already purchased, folks, is already garbage because of Cam Akers being out. Right? It's already garbage.
Yeah.
FantasyAlarm.com/draft now. Use that promo code draft now. Get 20% off. Or if you just want to catch that early bird action for all of our football content, seasonal and DFS, plus the draft guide and the cheat sheet and all the fixins, go to FantasyAlarm.com/getNFL. Promo code Bender gets you half off, right? 50%, baby. 50%. Well, let's lead off here since we just talked about trashing all your written magazines because Cam Akers is hurt. Time to talk about what's in the news, Ryan. And that is in the news. Scott Fishbowl drafts already done. Cam Akers on my team. I took third round reversal. I was like, yeah, give me some Cam Akers, baby.
That's a hell of a pick in the third round. Not anymore, but it was a hell of a pick.
No, it really wasn't. There's nothing else you can say about it right now.
I said before, it's not anymore, but it was at the time. I've been thrilled if I got Cam Akers in the third round. I thankfully did not. I actually, he's a guy that I really like in the season. I went through all my rosters. I never ended up getting him anywhere. So I was pretty happy about that. One of my best balls, I did end up with Darrell Henderson. So yay. I was doing a best ball with Colton and the Wolfman at the time the news broke. And there was 2 picks before me. And I was like, we're going to find out right now how fast the news spreads. And he went the next pick, unfortunately. So I did not get the 13th round gem of Darrell Henderson the day the news broke.
Dude, have you seen where this dude's going right now? Like, I was talking about it today. It's called hot take drafting, right? It's mind-numbing. So in Underdog Fantasy and their best balls, which are 12-team best balls, 18 rounds, his ADP within 2 days went from 127 to 91, right? A draft on Wednesday morning in the NFC. NFFC. He went 54th overall. It was the last pick of the first pick of the 5th round, so last pick of the 4th round. On that turn, that's where Darrell Henderson went. I don't get it, dude. I don't get it. I don't see it. I can't see the Rams being like, unless Xavier Jones or Otis Anderson or somebody from that backfield situation steps up in camp and shows that they can, handle the load. The Rams have to go outside. They have to get somebody. There were like a number of, crap-sucking free agents that a lot of people were talking about. But, I heard today a rumor that Jamal Williams, the Rams were kicking the tires on him. Yeah, right? Jamal Williams. Whatever it is, Darrell Henderson's not owning this backfield by himself. And I will drink to that.
I got to say, I'm not 100% sold on that. I mean, he was a 3rd-round pick. I know they went out and drafted Akers the next year. But, I mean, he has played well in time when he got the ball before they started handing the ball to Akers.
Oh, you mean when he's healthy? Because he's not been?
Well, yes. I mean, we can't fault that. I mean, but I don't know that they're – I mean, what great, retread free agent they're – stop. Anybody who starts with Todd Gurley, stop. That's not happening. And even if it does, it doesn't matter. Todd Gurley, I'm sorry, I don't care if he's 26, is shot. I mean, he was on the Falcons last year, and he was benched at the end of the year for a team that had no other options. Let's face it, Ito Smith is not an NFL option, and they still planted Todd Gurley's ass on the bench. So Todd Gurley's not a thing. On top of the fact that the Rams' bridge is burned. But, I mean, who are they going to go out and get? I don't know which guy out there is really lighting the world on fire that we know is going to take this job.
Well, I think I don't think it's any of these like garbage over the hill free agents. It's not LaShawn McCoy and it's not going to be Todd Gurley. But I mean, when we start looking a little bit further in, if Houston decides that they don't need either, Ingram or Phillip Lindsay or David Johnson, then all of a sudden, I think that becomes an option. I don't think it's David Johnson because I think his contract is going to limit him. But if they were to cut, say, Mark Ingram, I think that's an interesting option over there. If they work around some cap issues, Melvin Gordon has been a possibility there. I think they need to bring somebody in. Like, I get what you're saying that he was a 3rd-round pick, but your team just told you by drafting Cam Akers in the 2nd round that they did not believe that you were going to be the future of this team's ground game. They're saying it.
Yeah, I can't argue there. So I guess they can bring in a veteran to share the load and thus hurt his fantasy value. But I think he's got a decent chance to have a decent share of the backfield, maybe 60-40, depending on who they bring in. An end of the 5th round. I mean, we're already into running backs that are in committee type situations. I don't think he's the worst pick. I'll say that. We'll see what happens. Obviously, it's July 22nd, so there's time to come out there. But, I mean, Henderson at times has looked good, like you said, when he's healthy, which is always a problem. But I don't know anyone out there that's knocking the doors down that's going to crush his value.
No, there's nothing. I mean, it's not talking about crushing. It's just talk about sharing the workload enough that taking him in the 4th, 5th round is stupid. Like, that's just to me, it's just not, it's just not the direction to go. But again, we've got to see how this pans out. So more on the Cam Akers and the Rams story coming up next. What else do we got going on? Did you catch any of the NBA Finals, man? I know you're not a basketball guy. I'm not a basketball guy, but Game 6, Giannis rescues the Milwaukee Bucks. What was he, like 17 for 19 from the free throw line? Throws 50 points up when it matters. He gets it done. Mazel tov to the Milwaukee Bucks. Haven't won a title in, 50 years?
50 years. He put up 50 points and won the first title in 50 years and went to Chick-fil-A and ordered 50 chicken nuggets the next day. I was surprised. I saw a little video of, like, the Bucks parade, and I was like, I didn't know they had that many fans. I thought no one cared about this team. But apparently, I don't know if everybody just wanted a day off maybe. It was, summertime, it's a nice day. I didn't know there was that many people even in Wisconsin. So congratulations to the Bucks and Giannis. He certainly, coming back from that injury to not only play but lead his team to the championship is definitely worth a drink there.
Definitely worth the drink there. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. MLB Trade Deadline. How about that? That's actually big news. On Thursday, Nelson Cruz traded from the Twins to the Tampa Bay Rays. Kind of an interesting situation here. You know, I was talking to Adam Ronis on the Ante Up podcast, and the two of us were kind of trying to figure out which teams were buyers and sellers. And, you know, there really aren't that many selling teams, especially if you look in the National League. I think we counted like 6, maybe. The majority of them coming from the Central Division behind Milwaukee. You know, Cincinnati's like they're sitting there in second place, but they just lost Nick Castellanos to a broken wrist. Maybe the Cardinals get a boost with Jack Flaherty coming back for them. But I mean, there are teams that, I mean, I think the Cubs will probably end up being the big sellers with the biggest marquee names on the block.
Yeah, and I feel it's been that way the last few years. Like fewer teams, and I don't know if the second wild card, fuels into this, but I feel like there's been fewer sellers over the past couple of years. I think the MLB trade deadline is not quite as exciting as it used to be, but I think you're right. I think you're going to see bulk trades coming from a few teams. I don't think Cruz is the last one to get traded off the Twins. The Cubs have been like in this limbo of selling or not selling for a few years, but I think this is the year they probably pair some stuff off. So I think we'll see some deals. A shocker that the Giants are, in the buying situation.
Dude, what is that? I don't know. You're a Niners fan. Do you support the Giants too?
No, I'm a Cardinals fan. You know that.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I don't know. Like, all year I've been writing, articles and stuff. I'm like, Giants aren't this good, and they just keep winning. Like, it's got to fall apart at some point. Kevin Gossman, I mean, what the hell? I don't know. Did the whole city sell their soul to the devil? I hope so, because I hope it goes to the NFL, too, because, I'd like to have just the whole city, like Tampa Bay keeps winning multiple championships. I'd like San Francisco to do that as well.
Right? Should I just put all my money on the Rays to win the World Series this year?
That was a hell of a trade. I did not see that coming. They have
no. I mean with the whole Tampa Bay thing, right? You got the Bucks. Yeah, you got the Lightning. Give it to the Rays right now.
It's actually not a bad idea. That is. I bet you the odds. I mean, they're playing very well, but I don't know. I feel like they're always disrespected. So I'm curious what the odds are, but it's probably not a bad bet right now.
Probably not. We'll have to check in on those odds, no doubt. They're probably taking it off the board until they evaluate how much of an impact Cruz's bat is going to have. Listen, if you put that bat in the middle of that lineup, right? Give me all the shares I can of Austin Meadows more. Like knowing that Cruz is protecting him in the lineup now. Oh, yum.
Yeah. I know he got off to a real hot start. He's cooled off a little bit in the last month or so, but yeah, he's still got it. I don't care how old he is. Like that guy can still just freaking hit. And,
well, it's like the same shit that went down with like David Ortiz for years. Oh, I don't want this guy. He clogs up my utility spot, and he's at some point he's going to stop hitting 40 home runs. At some point he is. For 10 years, people were saying that, right? I mean, it was crazy.
Stopped when he retired. And look, I mean, let's look. Tampa's not a great hitter's park, but Yankee Stadium, Fenway Park, Camden Yards, wherever Toronto might be this week, like there's hitter's parks in the AL East. So I expect a nice second half and a nice change of scenery for Cruz.
Yeah. Keep in mind, MLB trade deadline, it's July 30th this year. I think it's because that's I don't know. It's like I think they did it because of the weekend. The 31st falls on the weekend. 31st
would be a Sunday. Today's the 22nd, which is a Thursday. So the 30th would be a Friday. So the 31st would be a Saturday.
So that's what they're doing. Check out all the live blog, the live MLB trade blog run by Greg Jewett over at fantasyalarm.com. There's an article that came out on Thursday night already about the Nelson Cruz deal. So check all of that out. All right. From the ultimate nonsense to the ultimate fantasy football analysis, ladies and gentlemen, we got to bring in our guest tonight. Super excited to have her here again. On Twitter, she is at FF_Leap of Faith. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Faith Enes. You should be clapping, dude. Come on.
Oh, you said put your hands together, so I put my hands together.
So stupid, man. You're ruining it all. You're right now. Faith's gonna be like, "Thanks for that intro." Faith, thank you so much for being here. First of all, let me just apologize for the fact that Ryan ruined what could very well have been the greatest introduction known to mankind. All I said was put your hands together, and he didn't clap. See?
Typical dad joke right there.
I take instructions very literally. I'm sorry. If you tell me to clap, you said put your hands together.
Right. Anyway, so here we go. Faith Enes here from IDP Guys. She also hashtag WOFF, the women of fantasy football. Faith, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
I am good. How are you? And I also have to congratulate you on saying my last name correctly, because 99% of people don't ever.
I prepped for this ahead of time. I actually the email chain went like this. Ryan, what's Faith's last name? Enes. Ryan, how do I pronounce that? Is it Enes or is it Anis? And I'm like writing it out phonetically.
That is very true.
He's like, all right, I just watched a couple of episodes and I just heard her say her own name. So listen, we're all about that, right?
That is
well done.
I didn't know we were going to let that cat out of the bag, but that is exactly how the conversation went down this afternoon. So, yeah, you and I have conversed very many times over Twitter, and I have to admit that I wasn't 100% sure of that answer, but I went back and I found out for sure.
I mean,
and
you could
you
have
know
asked.
what? I didn't want to ask. I wanted to find out. But you know what I found about that? You fucking tweet a lot. Jesus Christ. I had to go a long way back.
Wow.
To try to find a show where you said your name. It was like, I scrolled back for like a good couple minutes before. So you support your friends in the community very well by retweeting a lot of content as well as a lot of entertaining tweets of your own.
I feel like that's some low-key shade there, Ryan.
It was a little low-key shit, and I appreciate that you got that. Because that's what I was trying to get across.
Okay. Anyway, Howard, how's it going?
It's going much better with you and me than it is with Ryan. Exactly. Turn around, buddy. So Faith, thank you again. Really appreciate you taking the time and joining us. You know what? One of the things here is that we like to do is I think it's as important to get to know who your fantasy analysts are as much as it is to understand what their takes are and stuff like that. So this is more of like it's time to get to know Faith a little bit more here. So, I mean, let's start it off right now. We play a game with our guests also, which is going to be a little surprise to you. So we'll share that in a little bit. But let's start off with who you are, how you got started in this industry. Like, where did it all start for you here on the fantasy football community?
So this is only my third year playing fantasy football. I got started 3 years ago. I met Josh Hudson, who runs Club Fantasy FFL, who started the whole Women of Fantasy Football movement. We were in the same Facebook sports group, and we actually met at a live draft where I was sitting in for somebody else because I hadn't played fantasy football. It was $100 buy-in. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. That's a big amount to drop on something that I don't know what I'm doing. So I ended up drafting for somebody else and sitting next to Josh, and we just got to talking about how I knew nothing. And then we just connected through Facebook and just kept talking, and I asked for his advice, and I joined Fantasy Twitter around May of last year. And then really got to know, it was 2019. Got to know people. Stepmom Lauren was a guest on the Club Fantasy No Pun Intended podcast. Listened to her, loved her. So we can either thank Josh Hudson for my presence here, or you can be mad at him for my presence here, depending on how you feel.
I mean, it's pretty impressive to drop $100 on a league that you had no idea what you're doing, and now look at you.
That's why I didn't, if you were listening to my story.
She was subbing in for somebody who clearly paid the entrance fee.
I didn't know the other person paid the entrance fee. She didn't say that.
See, Faith,
why did they pay the entrance fee?
Listen, this is what we got. These are my real glasses, and I flat-brimmed hat tonight for you because I've watched you on a number of live streams and stuff, and I see you in a flat-brim hat, right? So I was like, glasses, flat-brim hat. Absolutely. Look at Ryan. The brim's all curled up, and he doesn't need those glasses.
That's true. I don't need these glasses.
I think it says it all. Right
He just
there.
wanted to fit in. You know what? It's okay, Ryan. It's okay.
Well, what are you drinking, by the way?
What am I
Cheers.
drinking? I am drinking one of the fan favorites of fantasy football, Truly Lemonades.
The boozy seltzer.
Waff koozie.
And the Waff koozie. We're limited here to red Solo cups here. We can't even show what we're drinking.
Go ahead.
We're not allowed.
Why? Go ahead and say it.
Well, it's all Ryan's fault. I think I tell this story to every guest.
You do. You do tell the story to every guest.
Go try and look for the very first episode of Getting Buzzed.
I dare you.
Go try and find it. You can't. Brian ruined it all for us.
I feel like this is a story I'm gonna need to hear later.
You just heard it.
Yeah,
somebody got a little too inebriated during the show.
We were doing the first show live. I didn't realize how long the first round of the NFL draft was going to be. I didn't know every team was going to take the entire 10 minutes to draft. I started a little early, and I got a little much by the end. It was good for like the first 45 minutes, and then it just kind of real fast.
Really plummeted in a hurry. Really.
Yeah.
It
So
escalated real quick.
In the vault somewhere.
I got a lot of compliments after the show. People thought it was really funny, and then I watched it and I was like, "You're laughing at me, not with me." Okay, I get it. So anyway, let's go back to you. We've talked enough about me already. You are a Patriots fan.
I am.
But you live in Florida. Is this? Did you follow Tom Brady to Florida? Have you always been a Patriots fan? Try to explain that to me.
If I followed Tom Brady to Florida, then I would be a Bucs fan, not a Patriots fan, now wouldn't I?
I mean, we have Patriots fans at Fantasy Alarm, and they all still hold a really special candle, and by candle I mean themselves, for Tom Brady. So I don't know.
So my dad was born and raised in Connecticut. I have family that still lives in Connecticut. So I grew up with my dad watching New England football, rooting for New England football. And so when you grow up in a house that's who you root for, that I just followed in those footsteps. Okay. And as much as so last year was a coin toss for me. I was mad at Tom Brady for leaving. And then when they made the playoffs and he made the Super Bowl, I was like, okay, I got to root for the guy to win his 7th. So it was a catch-22. I don't dislike the Bucs, but I don't actively root for them.
I'm a Jets fan. I hate them all. I hate them all.
You know what my favorite part about the Jets is?
That they suck?
It'll forever be the butt fumble.
Yes, I agree with you there.
So it's just brutal. It's brutal. Like, at least before that, we were at least just known about for Joe Namath. Like, that was it. It was Joe Namath. Then it was Marino's fake spike. Then it was the butt fumble, and we're done as an organization.
You know what I like the best about that, Howard, is she just went. It was like that Kermit the Frog meme. She was like, it was the butt fumble. And just like went right into the drink and just let it burn.
Right? Yeah. It's all right.
I would kick him while he's down, but Rex Ryan likes feet too much.
Ooh.
All right. So what's wrong with feet? I want to know. Listen, my wife. Listen, I know if I want to get my wife in the mood, simple foot rub on the couch. Just grab that peppermint foot lotion, rub those feet. Cha-ching.
First of all, this got real weird. Second of all, there's a difference between a foot rub and like a Rex Ryan level foot fetish. Big difference.
She has a good point there.
All right, fine.
So speaking of fetishes, I know you're
giving your wife a foot rub is being a good husband. Weird segue.
Moving from fetishes to pet peeves, you're an editor for a number of different sites. I don't know if you want to give them a quick shout out while you give this answer, but what is your biggest pet peeve as an editor of articles?
I'm ready for this one here. I'm an editor too, so serve it up.
My biggest pet peeve. So I know that every website is different. Every site has their different writing styles and how they want you to headline your article and how they want you to break it up and your headings and your search engine optimization, like all of that. It's all different, and I get it. I think my biggest pet peeve is when it's laid out in either an outline form or in a video or whatever, and it just gets disregarded. If I have to go in to your article and edit more than an occasional redundancy or a misplaced comma or just phrasing for grammar, if there are major things that need to be done, it shouldn't have been submitted yet. Because as the author of an article, it's your responsibility to do all of that. I'm only here to tweak it and make sure it's grammatically correct and it reads well to somebody who doesn't know the fantasy industry. And that's another thing. When you are writing your articles, you are writing it for people who are not analysts. It's your regular Joe Schmo who needs to know, Cam Akers got hurt, what do I do? They don't know what an RAS score is. Like, they're not going to know all of this. Speak simply.
Here's my follow-up question. Do you want to call anybody out and give their Twitter handles? That would be awesome.
No, I do not. Damn. I like my jobs.
Worth a try.
Listen, I'm an editor for years and years, and it's crazy. I had an editor over at Fangraphs, and this is like a good, I don't know, 15 years ago, maybe. And he used to write for like the Philadelphia Inquirer and then a couple of magazines and whatever. And this dude was like hardcore. And I picked up everything that he was doing, and I brought that to the table with me for editing. And I'm with you. Like, the look that you gave when we just asked you like a pet peeve about editing was, I was like, that look has been on my face for years and years. So I'm with you. I'm definitely with you.
Everything is my pet peeve.
So when I have written exactly 2 fantasy football articles in my lifetime. The first one was last year. And it was for people starting Dynasty, because last year was my first foray into Dynasty. So I was only dealing with startup drafts. I hadn't done rookie drafts. I hadn't worried about an off season yet. I hadn't done any of that. So I asked Twitter, what's your best piece of advice for somebody starting in Dynasty Fantasy Football? And I put it all together, quoted everybody, submitted it. And the editor at the time we submitted it in a Google Doc. And he came back, like, I am so self-conscious so our style is, unless it's something major, we just make the changes and move on. If it's something major, if it's something that doesn't make sense, something that is incorrect, it goes back to the author to change it. My editor made like notes in Google Docs, and there were so many, and it was just the way he spoke, the way he typed. He was a giant douchebag. And I was like, I screenshot it and sent it to a friend of mine, and I was like, do I sound like this when I edit? And he's like, no. I was like, okay, good, because I feel really bad if I do. And then I read it and it was like, no, I'm not changing that because that's not wrong.
Oh man, listen, I guess, yeah, there are probably times that I sound like a douchebag. I'm not gonna lie. There's definitely, there are like certain grammatical things that like drive me up a wall. You can nod your head all you want, Ryan. I don't care. I'm comfortable being a douchebag at times, right? Because it gets the job done.
I mean, I don't believe you ever edited anything of mine, but yeah, I mean, I'll go along with the douchebag narrative.
That's cool. I'm all right with that.
The Oxford comma is your friend.
What's that?
The Oxford comma is your friend.
Oxford comma is your friend. Very well said.
I agree.
Right? It's like an editorial mic drop right there. For those of you who don't know, why don't you go onto the old Google machine and find out what the Oxford comma is, then come back and talk to us. Faith, I want to talk to you about the women of fantasy football movement here. You said Josh Hudson was the guy who helped originate it. I know there's you and stepmom Lauren. Like, it's funny. I've had, Brandon Marianne Lee used to work with us over at Fantasy Alarm. She and I used to do a radio show on Sirius for Bleacher Report Radio. She and I have done a number of shows together for Fantasy Alarm. Jen Piacenti, obviously, with us. So, to us, I don't care what your gender is. If you know what you're doing and you're entertaining, then that's just all that matters, right? So, but listen, it's we live in a world that's really not that bright and incredibly annoying at times and very intolerant, which is super aggravating. So let's promote this. Let's talk about the women of fantasy football movement. And I'm not just saying that to get a cool koozie out of you.
I'm
would help.
You guys can fight over it. I'll bring one. You guys can wrestle for it.
Oh, see, there you go. You know what that means? Sumo suits and a bouncy
Ryan's
castle.
Gonna shadow box like he's from the 50s. But
all right, so talk to us about it, because you guys have the live streams and all the other stuff that goes along with it. So let's promote it here on Getting Buzzed.
So Women of Fantasy Football started last year as a movement to promote women in fantasy football, because for the longest time, and it's getting better, but it still kind of is a boys' club. Football and sports in general have always been guys' things, because the women cook and clean and the men watch the sports. Well, as women are moving more into sports and liking sports and analyzing sports, like, there are plenty of women who know more about sports than a good number of men do. Lauren Carpenter. Lauren Carpenter is a vast wealth of knowledge when it comes to football and fantasy football. Jen Piacenti as well when it comes to sports. And she can sing. The woman is I saw her clip, by the way, with you guys, and her impromptu song. Blown away.
I've had it in my head all day, by the way. I saw that on Twitter today. I've had Zeke 8 days a week stuck in my head all friggin' day.
So Josh decided, and he talked to us and was like, here's what I want to do. I want to promote women in this space so that other women who are up and coming can look at them and look at it and go, well, if they can do it, then I can do it. Because I said of stepmom Lauren, when I first kind of entered this area, she was really the first woman that I saw, the first female analyst. Since I came about in 2019, we've had Lindellians come up. We've had Steffi Smalls. We've had Cooter Doodle. We've had a handful of women who know what they're talking about and know what they're doing. And I think that's amazing. So that's how it started. It was 4 weeks, every Wednesday. We had some amazing people. We had Liz Loza on. We had Brandon Marion Lee. We had Jen Piacenti. We had Kate and Michelle from Ball Blast. We had several other people, and it was inspiring. It was delightful to get to know them as people and as analysts. And our lineup for this year is legitimately insane, and I cannot wait.
Can you tell us what it is?
Nope.
Really?
Can you tell us when it starts?
It starts, our first week is August 11th, the Wednesday before the Expo.
That's my birthday. It's
Well,
a birthday present to me.
Just for you, Ryan. We did that just for you.
All right, so August 11th, where can we see everything and find out?
So, August 11th, it's on the Club Fantasy YouTube at youtube.com/clubfantasyffl. It will be live starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, but they will be recorded and on the YouTube channel the next day for rewatching. And we have partnered with the Women's Sports Foundation this year And in every show, there will be a raffle. And the lineup of things that Josh has gathered is also insane. Signed jerseys, signed footballs, all of that fun stuff. And at the end of our Women of Fantasy Football event, it will all be donated to the Women's Sports Foundation.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Very nice. Yeah, see, I will definitely drink to that. Cheers to that one. Love it. And August 11th, write it all down, people. August 11th, you want the Club Fantasy Football YouTube channel. Make sure that you tune in for all of it. So appreciate you sharing that with us. Even though you're not letting us in on the little secrets here of the lineup, but whatever, that's fine.
You leave them wanting more, Howard. That's how you do it. You leave them wanting more.
Leave them wanting more.
You
Always.
gotta leave something to the imagination.
Indeed. You are right. You are right. All right. Well, Faith, like I said to you, we always like to play a little game with our guests. And Ryan tells me that you that you work in elections. Is that true?
I do.
All right.
I don't know what that means outside of like a month out of every 4 years, but I mean, it's your job, so it must be something.
A month out of every 4 years. I had 3 elections last year, so don't even go there.
I'm not pretending to be any bit knowledgeable at all.
Well, that's good because you're not.
All right. Well, in honor of you working in elections and having to deal with it, tonight's game is called A Country Divided. All right. The world just can't agree on some of these hot button topics. So, Faith, we are going to see where you land on some of these subjects, and can the community unite on any of these subjects? Are you ready?
No.
Tell me when you're ready.
That is true. You're not.
I don't think I'll ever be ready. So let's just go.
I just lost my headphones, so I can't hear you. You still have time to prep now. All right. Ryan, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll give the first one since you're still putting your ears in. Let's go right to let's take away from fantasy football and let's go to TV because that's something near and dear to all of our hearts. So let's do some medical shows. Are you Grey's Anatomy versus Chicago Med versus The Resident? Where do you fall on that argument?
I watched all of them and I love them all.
They're
very different.
But like, you got to pick one.
One's in Chicago, one's in Seattle. They're very different things.
This is in elections. We need a clear-cut winner. We can't have this uncertainty in elections. We need to have.
So, because I started with Chicago Fire and moved into Chicago PD, I would probably go Chicago Med.
I have to say that I am on marriage too. I have married 2 women who care nothing about sports, but both of them watch Grey's Anatomy. Damn it. I don't know how I was given this hell of having to stick with this show for 15 plus years.
Grey's Anatomy is amazing, and now they're spaced in 19.
It's so dumb.
Ryan, you know what? Do you know what TV show is literally the worst creation ever? Survivor.
Oh my God.
Whoa. Listen, I'm all in on Chicago Med, right? Halstead, what a great guy. I mean, who doesn't love him, right? And you can take that with Chicago PD, where Hank Voight is easily the best character on TV.
Oh, hands down. Well, and then so my love for Hank Voight also continues to the actor who plays him because he used to be a Scientologist. Oh. And there's a documentary called Going Clear about Scientology, and Jason Behe breaks it down about everything. And I'm weirdly obsessed with learning about Scientology because I just don't understand. I don't get it. And so learning all of the things. I was in Tampa last week and passed the Tampa Scientology Center and I geeked out for a moment. I'm weird.
Little fun facts that I did not know. I watch them all. My wife, she locks down on the DVR and we hunker down for the night, and I have no problem with it. I like them all. I watch all 3. All right, Thanks. Here we go. This is going to be a sensitive one now. All right? Faith. Okay. 0 RB or no 0 RB?
I think no zero RB. I mean, zero RB is just silly.
That's the right answer.
It is the right answer.
That is the right answer.
It is the right answer.
No doubt about it.
I'll give you a little video fist bump on that one.
Cheers to no zero.
Oh yeah, we'll drink to that one too. Why not?
All right, I'm going back to TV. And we're going to go with families of TV. We're going the Bundys of Married with Children, the Griffins of Family Guy, or the Goldbergs.
Of the Goldbergs.
Of the Goldbergs. Of the Goldbergs. That is true.
I'll say this. I'm twisted up inside, but no one seems to feel the need to say hey.
The past is getting something, but the future gets clearer every day.
Every day. Yes, the Goldbergs. I am in love with Beverly Goldberg.
You were too young for that show.
I mean,
I love that you love it because I love it. And I love Beverly Goldberg. Like, she is so funny. And Barry Goldberg is my older brother, basically. Like,
really?
He beat my ass. He wanted to play every competition where he could just kick my ass and everything. And then anytime that he won, he retired as champion. Like, we had tournaments for everything. He made up friggin' games for everything. My brother is Barry Goldberg, completely. So I'm absolutely in love with that show. R.I.P. Pops passed away this year, but Goldbergs
that was
is a
so
fantastic
sad.
show.
I ugly cried.
The Goldbergs is a fantastic show.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've only seen like a handful of episodes. I don't think I haven't locked in on it. Sorry.
Such a good show.
Sorry.
You were around in the 80s. It's a great show.
I was around in the 80s. Thank you.
I laugh every single episode.
When Beverly Goldberg starts cursing, oh my God, I freaking crack up laughing every time. She is. My mother didn't like go into school and argue with my teachers, but she was outside of that. She was kind of Beverly Goldberg.
Really?
Yeah, my mother is like so over the top. She's like, I'm 43 years old, and she's like still asking if I poop okay. Like, Mom, it's okay. Like, I have 2 teenage kids. Like, you can stop asking. You can stop asking about my poop now. It's all right.
My mom.
I'm gonna have to binge watch this, I guess.
Oh, dude, it's really funny. I think you really like it.
Amazing. It's like a coming of age story about a kid in the 80s. Yeah, this nerdy kid in the 80s.
Oh, great! So it's my life story. All right, awesome. Yeah, can't wait to watch it then.
It's like the Wonder Years, but funny.
Yes.
Another one you hit on nicely there, right? Because I looked like Fred Savage when I was growing up. Appreciate that.
There you go.
All right, fine. I'll watch it. I'll give you another one here, and I'm going to get you back away from TV here because Ryan's taking all the TV ones here. I'll just go back to fantasy football here. Auction draft versus snake draft.
I've never done an auction draft because I am 850 million% intimidated by that whole idea. So I'm just give me a snake any day. I still don't like to trade because I'm intimidated by trades. Okay, so don't put me in an auction draft.
Oh,
I'm telling you, do it. Do it with some friends. Do it a nice low-key one to start, and you'll get hooked.
100%.
I don't know if it's because I still don't feel comfortable because I edit other people's words. I wouldn't call myself like an analyst because it's just not who I am. So I just don't think I feel comfortable knowing the value at which to draft a player.
You know what, Faith? You're never comfortable until you do it. So you just got to rip off the Band-Aid and give it a try. Like, there was
Goldberg.
There was a time where like I didn't do auction drafts for a while in baseball, and then I got invited to like some of the big industry baseball drafts, which are auctions against some of the best. And you know what? You just got to go out and do it. And whatever happens, I mean, it happens. If you don't win, you go on to the next year and you get some experience. But 2021, this year, I'm telling you to do at least one auction before the season starts. That's your homework assignment. That's your homework assignment. I'll start an auction league and invite you to it. Like, you got to try it.
Yeah, it is. Listen, I got Jim Bowden who I do the Fantasy Alarm show with, he had never done a fantasy auction either. He was all about the snake drafts. I was like, dude, you've got to try an auction. You've got to try it out. And he's like, he's analyzing the drafts and stuff. And, we're starting to talk about, the different values of the players and, really good bargain here. Or you got to understand when this guy got nominated. Because he was like, how is this guy going for $4, right? And it's like, a top rookie running back. And I'm like, it's the way it was where he was done. So Jim finally agreed that he was going to do an auction. He comes out guns blazing, right? Throwing his bid money all over the place. He's got Dalvin Cook. He's got Ezekiel Elliott. He's got DeAndre Hopkins on his roster. He's got no money left for anything else. And then sat there in the auction, silent for at least a good hour and a half to 2 hours, and it was just, and he and I are, communicating via text as it's all going on. And he comes out of the whole thing and we start breaking down his auction for him and, the different strategy. And he was hooked, absolutely hooked. He was like, it was so unbelievably fun to do it, to have the experience. Faith, I highly recommend. Shake off the intimidation factor, draft with a bunch of friends of yours, and do an auction. You will definitely like it. 2
things. I remember when you first started that you were intimidated about doing a podcast. And now look at that's what you do. And 2, you know what the best way to get over the intimidation of an auction draft? Get the Fantasy Alarm cheat sheet. Because this man over here, to your left or right, and I'm not sure where he is, gives the dollar values for all the players. So it's like a guide of where you can expect each guy to go or what you should pay for each guy. So get the Fantasy Alarm cheat sheet, get some friends together, and do yourself an auction.
I hate doing poorly, so I'm like, that's part of why I'm like, I don't want to get an auction league. I mean, I would probably need to find a bunch of people who'd never done an auction league, so we're all idiot newbies together.
So you need to want people that are just below you. So what you're saying?
We all botch our first auctions.
You just gotta get it out of the way. Yep.
I remember my first one, and it was a disaster, an absolute disaster. It was worse than Jim Bowden's.
No,
I mean, it wasn't like leaving money on, leaving $20 on the table at the end of the auction bad, but it was bad. And I spent a whole boatload of money early and then had to sit there quiet for a while. Yeah. We're going to help you. You know what? We're going to help you get over this fear. I'm telling you.
My auction gurus.
Get the women of fantasy football to do an auction league.
That's a good idea.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of big names in our lineup this year. I don't know if that's possible.
Well, get some of your slob listeners to do it. They'll follow anything you do.
Excuse me. None of our listeners are slobs. They are all amazing people. There might be a handful of people listening for the wrong reasons, but that doesn't make them slobs.
Okay. Well, whatever makes you sleep at night.
If the women of fantasy football get together,
watchers, Ryan.
I mean, who do you think is watching this goddamn show?
Whoa, really?
What? Huh?
All right. Well, we'll just get somebody else to co-host it then. No problem.
I'll take over.
There it is. My new co-host right here.
Man, that was fast.
Boom.
Faith, you get the women of fantasy football to commit to an auction league. I will be your auctioneer.
Howard is a good auctioneer. He was my auctioneer in a fantasy baseball league. And he was hopped up on all kinds of pain meds because he busted his foot the week before.
That is true.
Yeah.
That auction was sponsored by Vicodin and Norco, another painkiller I found that kind of makes my eyeballs go a little.
I hadn't seen him in 8 years, and then I saw him. And I was like, "Man, buddy, you're looking a little rough today. You look like you're in some pain."
All right, you know what? Last one here, Faith, for the game. Again, this is our country divided. This is a big one here again. I like building it up like that. Original Law and Order or Law and Order SVU? I'll wait.
Okay, don't get me wrong. I love John Munch. John Munch is amazing. SVU.
Really? Really?
I love me some Olivia Benson. Elliot Stabler.
Yeah.
Longest running drama on television.
All right. I used to drink at a bar in New York where Michael Moriarty used to hang out all the time. The original ADA in Law and Order. It was Ben Stone was his character's name.
Yep.
Got to sit and hang out with him. So I'll always be a truther there. I also met Jerry Orbach. God rest his soul. What a douche in real life.
Really?
Oh.
Did you know that Jerry Orbach voices Lumiere in the original Beauty and the Beast?
How a guy that douchey could actually voice such an amazing character was beyond me.
And the story is set in France. Lumiere is the only one with a French accent.
Yeah.
So,
he is closer to his character in Dirty Dancing than he was to being Lemaire.
Wow. So my aunt used to be an attorney in New York, and I was up there visiting, and she had to go downtown to drop something off at one of the courthouses, and she took me in with her, and I can't remember if it's the state courthouse or the federal courthouse, the one with the rotunda, like the ceiling. I walked in and I looked up and I nerded out because I was like, oh my gosh, I've seen this in Law and Order. And then the steps, I think it's the federal courthouse with like the handrails down the middle. I was like, I've seen those steps too.
Does the bump bump go in your head the entire time?
Oh, and then I'm totally giving myself away. I was walking around downtown by myself while she was doing something, and I found One Police Plaza, and I was like, oh my God, it's real. I was like, it's not just something they say on the show. It actually exists.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Well, Faith, it's been an absolute pleasure getting a chance to sit here, hang out with you, learn a little bit more about you. Why don't you tell our viewers here again, everywhere they can find you in social media, websites, podcasts, live streams, you name it, the floor is yours.
Thank you for having me. You can find me on Twitter at @FF_leap-of-faith. Our Women of Fantasy Football series for 2021 starts August 11th and will be every Wednesday until September 1st. And that will be on the Club Fantasy FFL YouTube at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then they will be available on the YouTube channels the next day for a rewatch. And as of right now, that's about it.
All right. Well, there you go. Folks, again, don't forget, August 11th is the Women of Fantasy Football. That's where it all starts up, Club Fantasy Football on their YouTube channel. Faith, have a wonderful night. Thank you so much again for joining us on Getting Buzz. Cheers to you. Faith Enes, everybody, again, thank you so much for being here. It was great to be. Yeah, see, Ryan, now you're going to put your hands together? Great. Well, that's the sound right there. Last call. You know, I don't really have too much of a rant here for last call, Ryan. I will say one thing that I do want to bring up, and I guess this is more of like a lesson for those of you who are drafting right now for fantasy football, and you will be drafting from now until the start of the season. Be wary of hot take drafting, right? We said it earlier on the show, talking about where Darrell Henderson was going. Got to be careful about being too reactionary to the news. You have to be able to understand values of players, rising and falling, yes, but before you get super bonkers and crazy about it, understand who the player is, what the scheme is, what the situation is with the team. For example, with Henderson, here's a team who drafted Cam Akers the following season because they didn't have the faith in Darrell Henderson. They said, here's a better running back. Here is clearly a better running back than what we have right now, and we're going to go for that. Okay? And that's something that you have to always take into consideration. You always have to remember that what it is. it's not just about a talent of a player. It's about opportunity. All right. And Darrell Henderson, while he seems to have the opportunity right now, probably isn't going to have the full-blown opportunity down the road. We'll have to wait and see. But again, just be very conscious and don't start hot take drafting and grabbing players way too early beforehand because you think that something's going to happen. It's not the way to do it, and you're going to end up blowing the value. So that's my my final thought here, Ryan. Any takes on that?
Yeah, I think something along the same lines as reading headlines right now. Like you see, and I think we talked about this before, like a couple weeks ago, we saw something, Damian Harris looking like the number 1 running back for the Patriots. And it was like some guy from ESPN. Like, pay attention to sources as much as anything else right now, because everyone's just looking to get you to read their article, to click on this, to click on that, and they'll like say anything right now to get that while not much is going on. Some guy from ESPN saying what he thinks is going to happen with the Patriots backfield is no more valuable than what we might say. Like unless you're getting it from the team, and let's take the Patriots out of this because they don't give the media anything, but any other team, like if you're not getting something from the offensive coordinator, the quarterback's coach, the head coach, like even that only has so much water right now, but something from a media outlet carries no water right now. So pay attention to not just the headlines, to the source and the information, not, don't just knee-jerk react to something you see on Twitter.
Amen to that, man, right? Do a final cheers on that note. Thank you all for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Special shout out to our producer, John and Pemba today. Thanks so much for working on the fly with that, John. Big thanks again to Faith Enes for joining us. For Ryan Hallam, I'm Howard Bender. This has been Getting Buzzed, and we'll catch you next time.